Hi there. Today is January 8th, 2022, and this is the week 1 Create Brilliance 2022 update with your hostess, Jennifer Vanderbeek of scrapsoflife.com. And save yourself the trouble, don't even bother going to that website because it hasn't been updated since 2019. I got some sort of something nebulous plan for it, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. That's a later me thing. That's a future gen thing. Um, how you doing this week? How has the first week of 2022 treated you? Hopefully better than it treated me. I say that I say that in jest, but also in drop dead seriousness. This first week has been hard. It has. But I if you can hear the dog barking outside, he's outside my window. So at least he's barking outside. We do tell him to use his inside voice at times, but he's outside, so I guess outside voice is appropriate. Um, no, this week kind of wanted to drop kick me in the soft, squishy places. Yeah. But here's the thing. So this year I've said brilliant is my word, and this podcast, fine, we're just going to call it a podcast because that's apparently what people do now. This weekly podcast is about creating brilliance in ourselves, in the world around us, wherever you choose to work. And here's the thing, brilliance doesn't just happen. I mean, I guess it can randomly. I mean, but it's not like fairy dust. Like, oh, you get some brilliance, and you get some brilliance, and you get some brilliance. No. No, babies. It is not like fairy dust. Think about a diamond. In order to make a diamond, a hunk of coal, this black sooty thing that gets mined from the earth, whose particles infect the lungs of the miners. It heats, but it pollutes. It is this thing we depend on, and yet we detest our dependence upon because it is scarce. Therefore, it's valuable, but it harms as much as it hurts. But we take this coal, and this coal is subjected to massive pressure inside the earth. And only then does it become this lump of 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 what will become a diamond. Because even then, this lump of transformed coal isn't what we think of as brilliant just yet. It's only once someone takes it and carefully shears away the lumpy, dirty parts and polishes it up and gives it planes and facets that will catch the light. It's only then that we see the brilliance, the potential of that coal, instead of polluting, I mean, think about it. Instead of that coal going to heat for a moment and putting smog into the air and all the other things, after years, centuries, whatever, millennia, I honestly don't know how long it takes. I want to say it's a while, but it probably depends on how much pressure. It's like a sliding scale. The more pressure, the less time. I don't know. I didn't like research this before I started this podcast. I mean, this is off the top of my head, folks. Welcome to the show. But then once it's become this slightly clear-ish lump of something that's no longer black coal, it's then polished and planed and refined into a shape that we recognize through societal conditioning and massive ad campaigns on the behalf of the De Beers company, and then there's the whole, like, blood diamond thing, and we're just lab created diamonds are awesome, but that's getting away from my metaphor here. Um, Only then do we start seeing the lights reflected in those facets, the lights reflected in those sides, the cuts, and that's when it becomes well, that's when it comes literally a brilliant cut of diamond. When we see the brilliance inside that was hidden inside, ultimately, that lump of black, sooty, staining coal. It takes time, it takes pressure, it takes effort. Now, one could look at that metaphor, that process, and listen to what I just said and think, "Oh, my suffering is worth it." Well, yes and no. We as a culture have this weird, crazy habit of glamorizing suffering. We romanticize the suffering. And maybe that's not the best thing for us to do, because why on earth would we want to spend our life suffering? That's what somebody else has said, that, oh, that makes sense, or that, you know, that is what we're here for, and I'm not exactly sure I buy that. Um, while I agree that without the lows, we wouldn't appreciate the highs, that utopia, that idealistic society, that utopian vision is difficult, because if you did not have the negatives, if you did not have the things that you fight against, would you be able to appreciate the positives, the peace, the this, the that? That's a really big question that I'm not going to get into right now, but we don't have to glamorize the suffering um, that the coal goes through in this metamorphosis kind of thing to become this brilliant diamond, but we can appreciate the amount of stress and pressure that it can sometimes take to create brilliance. Not to mention, there's the natural forces, or the man-made in the lab. Um, but there's the natural forces, and then there is the physical skill and the artistic creation of the jeweler who's able to create that amazing finished product. So, while not glamorizing suffering in the least, I am trying to appreciate the fact that it can give rise to brilliance. I had another fight, kind of a clumsy word. I had another involvement, another installation of the drama that is my health insurance, my doctor's office, and my mental health this week. Finally got them back on the phone, and a couple of conversations later, it's not so much that my provider is out of network, because, the company, the insurance company says that he's in network. I'm gonna give you like the really short version of this. But the doctor's office was telling me that he's not in network. And I'm like, but they paid some claims. So clearly they must think that he's in network. There's a way to make this work. I'm sure it's just like, I know that the forms are finicky. So, is there like a certain code they prefer that you don't usually use, but it means the same thing, because medical coding is a weird and wonderful little labyrinth of which way to the exit or entrance, whichever way you look at it. Um and they're like, "Well, okay, he is in network, but there's a problem with our billing software's credentialing system that isn't agreeing with the insurance company's system." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Because that's a completely different issue. You mean because, up until that second conversation of Thursday, I was hearing that, you know, I had done something wrong. because, I thought I'd done everything right. I made sure that my medications and my providers were on the insurance company's list so that I would avoid all of this stuff so that, when you pay premiums, you did. Anyway, long story short, no, 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 because they were telling me, well, I don't know why it says that, but he isn't in network. Only he is. He's supposed to be, at least, but there's some disconnect. There's some miscommunication in the back end that I had no way of knowing about. That they have been battling with for a year, and their solution now is just to bill the clients for the services and just, say whatever to the insurance company, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 no, 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 that's not gonna happen." So yeah, I gotta deal with a new person now and try and get this straightened out. But out of this, that's not the important part here. I mean, oh, don't get me wrong, it's important, and thank goodness that I've gotten as far as I have, even though I'm kind of slipping. The meds aren't working the way they're supposed to anymore, I don't think, and so it's becoming harder and harder. The tools are breaking down, so the tools need a bit of a refresh. They need to be reevaluated or replaced or something. But I'm dealing with that as best I can in the meantime. But what happened was that whole scenario, that whole thing brought up a lot of bad. Some people call it bad tapes, but it brought up trauma basically. And that trauma brought me to a very low place. I was deep down in the ground, buried in the coal mine, to try and continue our earlier metaphor. Yeah, I was under severe pressure. But after a lot of ugly crying and verbalizing my feelings, because that is how I process. After getting through that part, I hit upon something. I hit upon something that finally started to make sense, and it helped me make sense of the situation for me. And it gave me something to conceptualize and to focus on in a way that I could. It went from being this nebulous problem that I had no idea of how to approach or fix or anything, to a concrete idea that I could work with. Not perfect, it's not any easier, but it makes it more accessible for me. So, in the meantime, while I wait for and work towards getting this whole situation unkerfluffled, I have something to focus on. And thank goodness I also have the lesson that creativity is one of my coping mechanisms. That is the coping mechanism that has yet to fail me. Knock on wood. Most of my house is wood. Yeah. Knock on wood. That is the coping mechanism that has not failed me. So, what have I done creatively this week? What brilliance have I created? We're not being that lofty, by the way. Oh, I meant to address this at the beginning, but I just kind of got off on my little my little message there. Yes, I am embracing the weird, the wacky, the wonderful today. These are my costume glasses. I had ordered them for my Professor Trelawney costume, and part of me just really wants to wear them, even though they're very they feel weird. I'm getting used to the thick black frames around my eyes is weird, and looking at myself in the mirror or the camera here, a little weird. I decided that I just kind of wanted to embrace it today. So this is happening. This whole thing. These are not going to become my normal glasses, I don't think, but anything's possible. Anything's possible. No. So yeah, that's a thing that's going on today. And I assure you I'm only, semi presentable from the waist up. I'm still wearing pajama pants and stuff. Because why not? Anyway, so what brilliance, what attempts at brilliance, what moments of this week were good? I presented you to the bad, and so now I'm gonna give you the fact that even while all that turmoil was going on, I was able to use my coping mechanisms, and I hope I did, I hope I didn't, like, bring it down too low, at the beginning there. But what did I do? Well, first of all, folks, I've written over 12,000 words this week. I have gotten from the first quarter of book 3 in the Cozy Mystery series to, well after the midpoint. So, yay that. Mm. And I have a yummy peppermint mocha that I made for myself that I am sipping because, the sugar and everything kinda helps my mood. Um, so I got back into writing this week, and it's been very good, and as soon as I finish this video, I'm gonna get back into writing some more because I need to get this doggone draft done so I can edit it and get it to the beta readers and, all the other stuff that has to happen. But yeah, I wrote over 12,000 words, this week, and, um, I need to do so much more than that. I've probably got 15 to 20,000 left, but knowing that I wrote 12,000 words in a week makes that feel a lot more possible, you know what I mean? The other thing I did, so I think last week I showed you that I'd started working on a pet portrait. Well, I finished the first pet portrait. Somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to line this up because the cattywampus nature of my, of of my camera setup right now. But yeah, this is the first pet portrait that I've ever done, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, actually. So I had started that last week, and I finished it, I guess, Tuesday? And then on Thursday, when I had my, dark night, or in this case, morning of the soul, and I felt like I was getting pummeled in the squishy bits. Um, I I almost canceled my Twitch stream for the day because I felt so awful, and interacting with people would be so difficult. But then I was like, you know what? First of all, I don't have to. I only have to interact as much as I feel capable of. Second of all, the people who routinely show up for my lives are a small, close group, and I feel good with them. And third, keeping to my plans, sticking to the program, sticking to my routine is super helpful for me, and I know that. And so I did my stream, and it was good, it was helpful, it helped get me out of my own mental morass, and I started my second pet portrait. Whoops. Seriously, why is this so hard to get things straight? There we go. This is Miss Molly, my mom's uh French bulldog who passed away a few years ago. And yeah, I adore her. She's adorable. And while I can see errors, I can see things that are not right with the painting, I'm also really happy with it overall because, well, it's just a good thing. But I didn't stop there. I didn't stop there. I decided I needed a little extra art therapy. More than one canvas was going to get the job done, and so I did a second. I did the next pet portrait that I had in mind, and this is my brother and sister-in-law's dogs, Winslow, the tan and white, and Neelix, the merle colored. I think is what that is. Yeah, gray, black, white, and a little bit of tan grays and stuff. Anyway, I got to meet them in person over Thanksgiving, and they're adorable dogs. Very fluffy boys. Very fluffy boys. Good boys. I have one more pet portrait for family to do before I can actually ship them off and hope and pray and cringe and wait to see what the recipients think of them. But that being said, it has been a very big help to me to have that project to work on, as well as the book. And that Thursday where I did all of that painting, I painted the 2 canvases start to finish, both of them. Yay hyper focus. I mean, that's really what that was. That was me, perhaps disassociating a bit while I was working on the paintings, and distracting myself in a positive way, because there are negative ways to distract and numb oneself to the turmoils of reality. And I am not going in those directions. Oh, as I sit here clacking my nails against the coffee cup, I also did a little bit of self-care this week, and I finally did my nails. I've been meaning to redo my nails since before Thanksgiving. It was one of the things I wanted to do before we went out of town, and I just never had the time with everything else that had to be done. And yeah, that was a thing, and part of it is vanity, part of it is self-care, and part of it is self-care in the avoidance of self-harm, because one of my anxiety emotions is to pick at my skin, to scratch at my skin, and to pick at any little spot. And with nails done, um it's harder for me to do damage. So it may seem like a frivolous thing, but at the same time, for me, it's not, because it actually helps like avoid some of the subconscious things I do. Um and or limits their impact, their negative impact. So yeah, there's that. But then that Thursday, no, I didn't do my nails on Thursday. I think I did my nails on Wednesday. Um but I don't even remember. I don't even remember what day. Doesn't matter. But I did go on to write several thousand words, as well on that Thursday. So, there's it was a very productive day, even amid the turmoil. And so that's why. Oh, and I also like wrote this thing. I journaled, but it was more than just a journal entry. It was the stub. It's the beginning of something. I don't know what. But um but from my vocalizing, from my verbal processing of the trauma and turmoil I was going through, I then wrote something completely separate from the novels. I don't know how many words it was. I'm not going to give you a word count because it doesn't matter. But I wrote something that helped explain where I was in the process, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I don't know if I'm going to share it. I don't know if I'm going to send it to the therapist that I can't see right now, so he'll understand that where I am and what this is doing. I don't know if it's something that I'll put out into the wider world or in what form. I don't know if it's just for me or if it's for more than me. Part of me wants to put it out there and share it so that other people who are going through the same things or feeling those same emotions, um, maybe they can take some comfort from it. Maybe they can use it as a springboard for their own thing, but I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Um, I haven't decided what its end goal is. Yeah, but that happened, and so Thursday, for all that it was a gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching start of the day, ended up being a very creatively productive day. Um, Actually, I take that back. That's confusing Thursday and Friday. Thursday was the bad day that led to the great art. Friday morning was the journaling that may become more. Yeah, that's right. But that all okay, so yes, that was the thing. See, my timeline gets a little screwy. Time is a construct, folks. We are just trying to keep up. Anyway, so that was my week. Um, as far as creating brilliance goes, I'm gonna admit that it's a process. I'm gonna admit that I feel like at times that that's a really lofty goal for me to set. I'm fighting the notion that striving towards brilliance is vanity. I am fighting the past trauma of being told to, that learned trauma that a lot of us have of self-deprecation, of putting ourselves in shadow so that people don't think we're bragging, that we don't have a big head, that we're, that we don't think that we're more than we are. Because I think that it's okay to want to be more than we are in a healthy way. I think that it's okay to, or I'm discovering that it's okay to strive for that brilliance. It's okay to want to improve. And it's okay to use that as a tool to live your life and be happy with your life. Don't use it as a club to beat yourself up. Lord knows there are plenty of things we can beat ourselves up about, and that society and the world will beat us up over. We don't need more of those to do it ourselves. Good gravy, no. But what we want to do to improve our own lives for the sake of ourselves is worthy whatever name we give it. And so if there's a lesson from this week, if there's a lesson from the drama and the trauma and the stress and the mess, I'm not trying to rhyme, but it does kind of make my heart happy a little bit when things balance like that. It's that it's okay to want, it's okay to strive, and it's okay to acknowledge the dark, gritty, whole beginnings and know that inside is a diamond. We brought it back to the opening metaphor. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do that. Again, this is me talking off the top of my head. I mean, I've got so many things swirling around in my head this thing, it could go anywhere. There are no notes. I didn't plan anything for today. I just said, okay, I need to record my first week update, and here we are. And here is how I chose to present myself today. And for right now, in this moment, I'm okay. I don't know what it's going to look like 10 minutes from now. I don't know what it's going to look like 10 hours from now, 10 days. But for now, I'm here and I'm happy and I'm okay. I'm okay with striving towards brilliance and with recognizing what I've done and hoping that whomever is watching this feels okay about themselves, knows that they're not alone in being deep in the earth under pressure, knows that they don't have to glamorize it, they don't have to explain it, but it's okay to accept that it's part of the process and to move on to whatever next step feels right for you. So, going into this next week, I wish you creativity. Whether it's physical creativity or the creative thought, um, whether it's planning, whether it's doing, whether it's ideas, whether it's self-grace, whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you, I'm still going to wish it for you. Even though we're no longer returning to creativity, creativity is how I am going to achieve brilliance. And I think it's how everyone creates brilliance, because we are still creating. We are creating our lives day after day after day. Even when it's hard days, we are creating our lives. And they're not all going to be brilliant, but it's a process. It's a process. We are becoming our most shiny selves. And so as we work on becoming said shiny selves, I wish you the best. I'll talk to you next week.